What's up? What's up? Want to welcome you guys back. Everybody here at One Crack News. Thank you for for tuning in, supporting it. But there's something that needs to be said that's not being spoken about. Now, the news around the world, worldwide news too. Something that happened in North Carolina is making its rounds. And I mean it's making its rounds. So get ready to sip your tea. This is going to be interesting. Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm going to make me some tea right now. So we're going to get into the juice. Now, this mugshot was, man, it's media gold. And what I mean by media gold, this is what they want. Black person looking all crazy with wild hair. And they putting up the mugshot. And they putting up drugs. Oh, they love that. And for y'all who don't know what's going on or what I'm talking about, in Fayetteville, if I'm saying Fayetteville or if I'm saying that incorrect, I'm sorry. But a first grade teacher, a black woman, was arrested with her man for basically trafficking methamphetamines. In other words, crystal meth. Now, she was charged with the trafficking, the possession, the transport, everything. Antonisha Chambers. Yep, she's a first grade teacher at E. Melvin Honeycutt Elementary School in the United States of America. On a visa, by the way. Now, the district attorneys and the district officials and the office and everybody at the CCS and everybody else, they are aware that she was arrested and charged on Friday. Right? And all their statement was the arrest did not take place on school campus and students were not made aware of the situation. The students got the internet. Guess what they gonna know? What the hell happened? Because somebody in the school gonna tell them because another kid know. Now listen, Bradford Gordon, the other person, he also being charged with trafficking by possession, trafficking by transport, maintaining and dwelling for the purposes of narcotics and conspiracies, and all this other stuff. But he's also in the United States on the visa, right? So this is, I'm telling you, this is media gold. This is what the media wants to show you. Now, let's go a little deeper here. Now, according to the investigation, 4 pounds of methamphetamines were found. 4 pounds. And they said, this is a serious situation. These allegations are very disappointing, and we don't want it to overshadow the work that our employees do on a daily basis here in the school and to help these students succeed in classrooms. Prior to hiring these employees, the district conducts extensive background checks and provide ethic training to employees once they're hired. So we go through all the ethics. So they're trying to cover themselves to say, hey, why you didn't vet these people, right? Now, she, of course, is prohibited from returning to campus or having any contact with students, of course. That's a non-brainer. So they're still conducting their investigation into the situation, even though there's, I don't know what's more to investigate. But everybody's running with the story. They got that mugshot. They got everything they need. But now, let's get into the situation. What they were caught with. Crystal meth. Yep, crystal meth. Crystal meth is known and grew very popular in Asian culture. Okay, let's start this off. Asian culture. Japan had a huge crystal meth. Everything. It was barely in the United States in the early 2000s. Only one state, maybe two states, had crystal meth, where they even grew it or even knew what they were doing. This was mostly in Hawaii and Japan. The Japanese called it was called ice because it looked like crystal ice when it was made. So it was named ice. And ice was everywhere. And when I was in Hawaii, in Oahu, this is what a lot of the Filipinos and the Japanese people that were there, the Asians that were there, this was a big pandemic because people were losing their minds doing crimes and all kind of dumb stuff in the early broad daylight. They didn't care. They were going off the drug and they had to get it, and they would do it at any cost. They didn't care what it meant to any of them. So, let that sink in. Now that you know that, how did it start to get into this country? Well, the meth dealers were a lot more severely punishing when in actuality, it's a harsh crime, period. The people who sold this drug were some of the most dangerous people in the world. That if you were trying to short somebody or do anything in this business, in Hawaii, they dealt with it differently. If you was a snitch, if you was to go against the grain, punishment in the Asian culture or in that market was a lot different than how it is here. They didn't just shoot you. Matter of fact, they didn't waste bullets. They would handcuff you to the steering wheel of your vehicle and set the vehicle on fire. That was to send the message, and everyone knew that person was a snitch or did something wrong in the meth business. That's how you were dealt with. So if you see someone handcuffed to the wheel with the vehicle set on fire, this was happening a lot in Hawaii. I know, beautiful island, right? But right around the corner is Beirut. Now, people started to take this back to the Midwest. Indiana is one of the first states, that had a market and was trying to build a market for this. As the government was trying to control it, did not want this outbreak to happen here, and the penalty and the crime for it was massive. Then it started to spread down south. Instead of running shine, people decided Let's grab some of these smart people and learn how to make this crystal meth. But they didn't have a lot of smart guys, and a lot of people were blowing themselves up because they didn't understand the chemistry. Right? So the people who did this had to be very skilled in chemistry in order to make it, because you got to know how to troubleshoot. You have to know how to deal with situations that you might not understand. So you need area where it's really secluded. So places like Indiana, West Virginia, Oklahoma, Arizona, Vegas, Nevada, these were appealing places for people who wanted to grow and do this type of activity. Let me remind you, none of these people were black. No African Americans on site whatsoever. Now, because of this, people were turning a blind eye toward it. They didn't know how to track it. They had people trying to make these in chemistry sets, and most people were taking up chemistry to learn how to make it. But what they were failing at is that they were using improper tools to make it. Unless you took science classes, knowing how to mix compounds, and if you're mixing them in a cooking bowl, you might get a reaction that causes an explosion. Then if you have these labs, someone finds this lab, they could steal all your stuff and get out. Other people who were very good at rigging bombs and all this stuff would rig the place to explode, to destroy all evidence, because anybody being found with this type of stuff is a very punishable offense. You're doing a lot of time, normally. That's what I used to be. Then it started to grow in all these states, mostly in Nevadas, in the Arizonas, in the Midwest, mostly Indiana. And you're starting to see more meth heads running around than crackheads. But then you couldn't tell one from the other, except for the activity of it. And the kick was way higher than anything they've ever seen with meth. Now, in 2008, they decided to make a show. Vince Gillian created a show detailing a chemistry teacher named Walter White, who tries to change his life after he's been diagnosed with cancer. His salary is barely making ends meet, and one of his students is in the business of making meth. But he isn't very good at it, and the way he's doing, he might blow himself up one day. And he's one of his worst students, or a student that don't really pay that much of attention. So he finds out about his business. Next thing you know, he starts helping him make it. This show becomes one of the biggest shows on television, known as Breaking Bad. Once again, had nothing to do with black people. Everyone wants you to believe this show ended because it ran its 5-year run and that was it. No, this show ended because AMC, who had this show, was getting so many complaints because these young kids were out here blowing themselves up, burning down houses, growing and attempting to grow and make crystal meth. This was an epidemic. Once again, none of these people were black. One kid was successful at making it based on everything he learned from the show. And he started going out, finding places to get the good aluminum. He was making meth and doing it and learned all the stuff from Breaking Bad. His parents tried to sue the network after her son got caught trying to distribute it. Said the television show Breaking Bad has corrupted my child. And they're responsible for him doing this and going down this road in this path. So now the show has to protect themselves from lawsuits and all these things. So certain elements they have to leave out when they start going down the road. That's why in the last season, you really didn't see too much cooking like it was in the first 3 seasons. Yeah, a show like that would have ran and kept running. Well, I look at it like this. None of these things that were happening in these towns had anything to do really with African Americans. If African Americans had anything to do with it, we were dealing with it after the product was actually made and put together. We were part of distributing it. Okay? It had affected every household, and the spread of crystal meth was even more massive in between 2018 and 2013 to now it's even triple what it was in 2005. Almost quadruple. Now, everyone is looking at today's images and they're showing you what? These people, right? They're on every face. These 2 black people. And the crime that they did about crystal meth. Did they once tie Breaking Bad to this? Did they once bring up the fact that this drug is not normally at all coming from anyone black in the United States? Nope. You don't hear anything about it. In those other cases I told you about it, I don't even think they showed their photos of those people. You heard the stories, but you didn't see their photos or pictures. I bet if I dig, I could probably find it, but they made sure that that wasn't broadcast on the news. I remember hearing about it on the radio. That's how I found out. So FX networks, AMC networks, and all of them, they had the Golden Globe Award for Best Television Series Drama with Breaking Bad. And now they get none of the backlash when they know that this is a drug that was created in the Asian culture and it got over here and the Caucasian culture went rampant with it. Now, 2 black people, well, somebody was caught distributing 4 pounds. Now their picture are plastered everywhere. It's on every news I done seen in 2 days. I said, well, damn, there they go again. They got the perfect mugshot, and now we are the face of something else. So that's what's happening in the world today. Now remember, these people were properly vetted. This lady and this woman, they doing a very good thing about teaching about ethics. Now, they didn't say this teacher was bad at her job, being a 1st grade teacher. This person never was taking off work or doing anything really erratic. But it is what it is. I'm not excusing what they done. I'm just saying. Look at the show. You guys promoted this. And then, just like that, y'all wanted to really shut it down and push everybody to the Walking Dead. Because you saw what was coming. So all you journalists who reported on this, why didn't no mention of Breaking Bad? Why no real details into what's really going on out here in the world? Are you really trying to save the people, or are you really part of the problem? So figure that out. Get back in contact with me. Thanks for everybody who watched One Crack News. Hopefully you guys subscribe to the page, hit the like button. My Cash App is Carceno, Karceno. If you like the video and support it, thank you very much. I appreciate that. God bless you guys. Good night.